Hello and welcome. We are back in a big jet today. As you may or may not know, I have been doing a bit of VFR here lately, but now we are back in the 752. Today we are crossing the pond once again, but of course it is not the main event. This is actually a light event where airports on both sides are staffed, which gives us a lot of opportunities to fly between various destinations on either side of the Atlantic. So that is a really great idea. I really appreciate it. But since this is kind of a light event, then full ATC is not guaranteed 100% across. But let us see, we'll probably have fun anyways. We are flying Ice today, which is, as the name suggests, which is an operator from Iceland, operating actually 752s, 753s and I believe 767s as well. So the route today is from Montreal here in Canada to Keflavik in Iceland. I don't believe that they actually operate this route, so you might call it a semi-realistic flight for today. I have begun the cockpit preparations here in the background. We are today departing at 1415 Zulu, so that gives us a little short of an hour. So before we do our briefing, then let me just talk you through how we are going to do this today. We'll of course be time-lapsing a bit when we are in cruise, but I will be focusing on the ATC voice interaction. And today we are actually asking the Oceanic clearance via HF radio the good old school way. I've had some feedback and some comments. I really appreciate you guys taking time to comment on the videos and reach out to me. But anyways, I've had some viewers reach out to me and asking for the clearance via HF radio because they simply found it much cooler. And I agree, it is really cool. But unfortunately that is out of our hands. It is ATC at the end of the day that decides during the event whether we are using the NetTrack tool or HF radio, and I really do understand why it's necessary to use simulated CPDLC, aka the NetTrack tool, because during events, major events like the real cross the pond, say the main cross the pond, it is simply because the amount of pilots that wants to participate in the event, and I believe it was simply not possible to do via HF radio since the frequencies are just so busy during such an event. So that probably enables more pilots to join the event, because it's easier to handle a bigger amount of traffic that way. That is at least how I see it. But today we are going old school. The ATIS does not seem to be online, at least not on voice, so I've just received it via text. And there's nothing really major. We have information alpha. Nothing really significant, only that we have some bird activity in the vicinity of the airport. But we are luckily in a desktop simulator and we do not have faults enabled for today, so that is nothing to be concerned about. Let us grab our clearance and then we can do a briefing afterwards. Montreal delivery, good day, ICR 1 Alpha, Boeing 752, requesting clearance to Keflavik, and we have information Alpha on board, stand 2-1.
ICR 1 Alpha, roger, stand by, number 24, the clearance. ICR 1 Alpha, Montreal delivery, I have your clearance, advise when ready to copy.
We are ready to copy, ICR 1 Alpha.
ICR 1 Alpha, you're clear to Keflavik via the Montreal 1 departure, flight plan route, runway 24 left, squawk 1035, departure frequency 132.85.
Clear to Keflavik via the Montreal 1 departure out of runway 24 left, squawk 1035 and departure frequency 132.85. ICR 1 Alpha.
ICR 1 Alpha, read back correct information. Alpha, contact the apron 12207 for push and start.
Apron on 122.07 for push and start. ICR 1 Alpha, thank you. Let us take a quick look at the departure here. We are taking off from runway 24 left, which is this runway here. And as you can see, it is pretty straightforward. It is actually just straight ahead on runway heading. And then we will be given vectors later on. So that is really simple. And we haven't got an assigned altitude with our clearance, so we just have to maintain maximum 5,000 feet. So that is also pretty straightforward. And a very important thing to note is here that we have to contact departure control when airborne, unless otherwise instructed. So we have to take care of that as well. Other than that, there is nothing else really. So let us finish up and let us get out of here. I'm almost done setting up the aircraft. All I need to do here is to get the performance calculations for today, and then we will call for the tow truck and get him connected and wait for further instructions to see which way that the apron controller would like us to push. And before we move on, I really hope that you like the video. If you do, then I'd appreciate it if you'd leave me a like. And if you'd like to stay tuned for even more content, then consider subscribing to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any new content. Leave me a comment, tell me if there's anything that you would like to see, or if there's anything that I can do better, then I'd be happy to work on it. And at last, I'd just like to thank you for watching. And Montreal apron, good day, Ice Air 1 Alpha, stand 2-1, request push and start.
Ice Air 1 Alpha, negative, hold the push, traffic to pass beyond, I'll call you back.
We'll stand by, Ice Air 1 Alpha.
Ice Air 1 Alpha, push back, nose east, call ready for taxi.
Push back, nose to the east, and we'll call ready for taxi, Ice Air 1 Alpha. And nose to the east, that is to the left of us, so we'll have to go nose left, and I will be talking to you when we are ready for taxi. And Ice Air 1 Alpha, we are ready for taxi.
Ice Air 1 Alpha, hold short of Delta, call ground there on 1219.
Hold short Delta and contact ground there on 121.9. Ice Air 1 Alpha, bye bye.
Bye bye.
So we pushed back from stand 21. So we are here, and we just have to go straight ahead, and then we'll hold short here at Delta, and then we'll contact ground. Montreal ground, good day, Ice Air 1 Alpha, taxiing on north ramp, holding short Delta.
Ice Air 1 Alpha, Montreal ground, good day, runway 24 left, altimeter 2961, taxi via Alpha 4 Alpha, cross runway 28, hold short runway 24 left.
Altimeter 2961, taxi via Alpha 4 Alpha, cross runway 28 and hold short runway 24 left. Ice Air 1 Alpha. Okay, so we have been told to taxi via Alpha 4, then Alpha, And then let me just quickly grab the other chart. We have the big chart here. And then we were told to taxi along, we came from here. We have to taxi along Alpha and cross runway 28. We just taxi along to the holding point runway 24 left, which would be up here. So that is pretty straightforward. I haven't sat in the cockpit of a Boeing 752 in a long while actually, so bear with me if I make some embarrassing mistakes. I have really used a lot of time lately to try to tweak the video quality in my videos and also the audio quality, so I hope that you have noticed that it is a little bit better. And of course it is a long process of trial and error. It has to look good and your computer still have to be standing and not burned down to the ground, if you know what I'm saying. So, but it should be a little bit better. And I have actually also found a tweak to the really jagged shadow edges. I recommend that you check out Q8 Pilot. You probably all know his channel. Check it out. He has a really nice free trick to make your shadows look really sharp, and it's totally free, so I definitely warmly recommend it. On my mid-range computer here, it does not impact performance at all. So we've got about 4 minutes to our calculated takeoff time, which was 1415 Zulu, and that is normally the time that you have to keep in mind during these kind of events. So it seems like we are going to be on time today. I'll check back with you just prior to takeoff. Runway 24 left, cleared for takeoff. When airborne, contact departure on 132.85. ICER 1 Alpha, thank you. Bye bye.
Contactez la tour 119.9.
M6 appuyé, la tour 119.9. Merci pour le service et bonne journée.
And Montreal departure, good day, ICER 1 Alpha, airborne 600 feet.
Ice Air 1 Alpha, Montreal departure, good day, identified, climb 16,16,000.
Climb 16,000, Ice Air 1 Alpha.
Montreal arrival, good evening, Air France 213, passing through 1,000. Air France 213, Montreal departure, good day, identified, climb 16,16,000. Clear climb 16,16,000, Air France 213. Ice Air 1 Alpha, turn right direct Anteg on course.
Turn right direct Anteg on course, Ice Air 1 Alpha.
Air France 213, turn right heading 330, vectors for your climb. Vector 330, vectors for climb, Air France 213. Just confirming there's a right 330, Air France 213. Affirmative, 3 right turn 330. Rudder right turn 330, Air France 213. Air France 349 climbing through 1,900. Air France 349 Heavy, Montreal departure, good day, identified, climb 16,16,000. Climb 16,000, Air France 349.
We are now well on our way, and we are estimating our Oceanic entry point at about 1600 to 1605 Zulu. We'll do some more precise calculations when we are in cruise, so I'll check back with you by then. We've got about a half an hour until we have to ask our Oceanic clearance, so we better get to work. I have done a little bit of calculation, and the FMC and we are not agreeing on what time we will be at Janjo, which is our Oceanic entry fix. The FMC states that we'll be there at 1606 Zulu, but I think it's more like my calculations tells me that we are there at 1600 Zulu. But I know for a fact that we will be slowing down a little bit because we are flying pretty fast right now and we also have a strong tailwind. but I'll be slowing down a bit prior to entering Oceanic airspace. So it'll probably be something like 1602, and we'll also do the calculations again a little bit later. In a moment I'm going to show you a neat tool that I use for these kinds of calculations. I like to do it manually in the background because the FMC in this desktop simulators here are not always 100% accurate, and then maybe we won't have to do a revised estimate. I will of course be providing a link to that website, and I will also be providing a link to a checklist that I use to ensure I have remembered everything when asking my Oceanic clearance. But before we go ahead and look at the calculation and the planning, then I just want to remind you to hit the like button if you liked this video so far. It helps me out a lot. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon if you'd like to stay tuned and see similar content as this video here. And then at last, give me a comment, tell me what was good and what was bad, or tell me if there's something that we can change to next time, or if there's something you'd like to see. Thank you for flying with me today. First of all, let us look at the overall routing. We are entering Gander airspace here at point Janjo, then we are crossing Gander airspace, and then we are flying to the north, right at the border between Shenwick and Gander, but we should actually be remaining in Gander today, so that will not be complicated at all. And then we will be entering the Reykjavik flight information region, and then of course we'll just have to do our approach, or the final step of the trip here, and our approach into Keflavik. So that is pretty straightforward. We will be following a fictitious net track today, net track Yankee. As you can see, the real net tracks are shown here, and Yankee is down here, much further to the south. But anyhow, that is the route we have been given. This is not a route that I have created, it is a route that we have been given with our pilot's briefing. If this doesn't make any sense to you at all, and you'd like a bit more down to the basics, then I suggest that you take a look at my basics tutorial. If you click the card up in the right corner, then it will take you straight to that video. It contains a lot of the most basics about the net tracks and why they are in place and etc. I strongly recommend that you take a look if you are not familiar with Oceanic procedures at all. And if we take a quick look at the ETOPS planning here, then we have a suitable airport down here. It is Gander International. And if we look out here just prior to reaching 56 north 040 west, then we have the equal time point, which is equal time between either Gander or Keflavik, which means that at this point out here, then we have to decide whether to continue to Keflavik or divert and return to Gander. So that is pretty straightforward. The next thing that I want to show you is an E6B emulator on this website here. Some of you might know the real E6B, and if you don't, then try to Google it. It's kind of cardboard dish with a lot of numbers on it, used to do calculations. It could be, for instance, when you are dead reckoning or something like that. I'm not going to get much more into that now, but this is more or less an online version, and it is very easy to use. It can do loads and loads of different calculations, and we are just going to use a tiny fragment of it today. So I'll show you what I have done. If you've watched me before, then you know that I'm no math genius. So I have just done an easy calculation. It is actually the first time that I try to calculate it myself and not just blindly trusting the FMC. But let us look at it. So what numbers do you need? I'll just bring up a picture. This is not from today's flight, this is just a still from another flight. But I'll just show you what numbers that we are looking for. The numbers that you need to plot into the computer is your ground speed, which you can see here. That is of course the 752. It might be different in the aircraft that you are flying, but you need the ground speed. and then you need a distance. If you are direct inbound to your entry fix or to the fix where you want to calculate the distance to or the time you have to go, then it is visible over here on the other side of the ND. And if you have more waypoints, then you might need to look in the FMC and then add up the distances between the various waypoints until the waypoint where you want to know the time. So let us try to plot in some relevant numbers for today's flight. So we look at this section down here. So the first one is the distance, and from where we are now we have a distance of 479 nautical miles, and our ground speed is 523. And what we got here is how long it will take us to fly this distance up here at the given ground speed, and that is approximately 55 minutes. And if we add that to the current time, which is 1506 Zulu, then we will be arriving at Janjo according to this calculation here at 1601 Zulu. And this is actually pretty accurate, but we'll see about that when we are getting a little bit closer. I will also do this calculation a little bit later just to double check. So let us head back into the cockpit and let us look at the Oceanic clearance request. And as we are flying along here, then we have some time to look at our Oceanic clearance request. And as we can see here, there is an Oceanic clearance section of this flight plan created by SimBrief, so that is very easy. But if we look at the routing down here, it sure looks like random routing. But today we are flying a fictitious net track, and of course that is the limitation of SimBrief. It will only calculate the routes via the real net tracks. But anyhow, a random routing is not that much different from a net track. It is only actually the way that you ask the clearance. If you want more information about that, then you can check out the video that I talked about previously. I will put a card up in the right corner again, but there I will explain a little bit more into detail what the differences are between the two. But anyhow, this is our net track Yankee for today. We will be requesting flight level 370. Important to note, our max Oceanic entry, which is also flight level 370. We are at flight level 350 by now, but we are a bit lighter than when we took off. We have burned some fuel, so we'll do a step climb just prior to reaching Janjo. Then SimBrief states or suggests a speed of Mach 0.79. That is a little bit slow. This aircraft is capable of a little bit more. I think we'll start out at Mach 0.80. In my last Oceanic crossing, I was probably flying a little bit too fast. I had a few overspeed warnings as I was right at the maximum. So we'll start out at 0.80, and if that is too slow, then we can always request a higher speed and then get our Oceanic clearance amended and then go a little bit faster. And then here we have our cell call code, which is also important to tell the controller, and that is pretty much what we need to know. We are now almost at the time where we have to ask our Oceanic clearance, but just to let you know what have been going on in the background, as always, there is not an Oceanic crossing without a challenge of some sort. I have been preparing my clearance request via the NatTrack tool because it was stated in the pilot's briefing that we had to request clearance via the NatTrack tool. That was probably a mistake, but anyways, that happens, no problem at all. But the thing is that I have just been in touch with the controller, and he is going to transfer us to clearance delivery in just a moment, which means that we need to have a Oceanic. We need to have an Oceanic clearance request ready to ask via voice. That is also why it is a good idea to understand how things work and what the request need to contain, so you don't just follow the NetTrack tool blindly, because then you'd probably end up having a hard time keeping up with the controller or understanding how things work. Well, no biggie. I have just pulled out my Transatlantic check sheet. That was a hard word. And link is of course in the description, and I have filled it out just the way that I showed you before when we had a look at the SimBrief flight plan. So we just have to wait till we are transferred, and then we will ask the clearance and see how it goes. And it's just the kind of things here that can happen that makes these trips across the Atlantic unique almost every time. It certainly made my trip a little bit more fun, because I just had a kind of small change, and that is where you get to work.
Okay, Air 1 Alpha, contact Gander on 119 or decimal 42, and then call me back to frequency, please.
We'll contact Gander on 119 or decimal 42 for the Oceanic clearance, and we'll report back. ICR 1 Alpha.
Mach 10 Speedbird 1787.
Speedbird 13, Gander, pass message.
At Gander delivery, good day. ICR 1 Alpha, request Oceanic clearance.
I'm sorry, who was it calling for the clearance? ICR 1 Alpha, was it?
Affirm, ICR 1 Alpha.
Okay, pass message.
And ICR 1 Alpha requesting Oceanic clearance to Keflavik via track Yankee. Flight level requested flight level 370, max flight level 370, requesting Mach decimal 80, estimating Yanyo at time 1604 Zulu, cell call Golf Mike, Juliet Sierra, ICR 1 Alpha.
Okay, ICR 1 Alpha, Gander, copy to Oceanic clearance request to Keflavik via Janjo track Yankee, estimating Janjo 1604 Zulu. Requested flight level 370 with a max of 370 and requested max flight level 80. Cell call Golf Mike Juliet Sierra, standby for the Oceanic clearance. ICR 1 Alpha, Oceanic clearance cleared to Keflavik via Janjo track Yankee. From Janjo, maintain flight level 370, Mach decimal 80.
Cleared to Keflavik via track Yankee from Janjo. Flight level 370, Mach decimal 80, ICR 1 Alpha.
ICR 1 Alpha, read back correct. Continue with, return to domestic frequency, enjoy the rest of your flight.
We'll return to domestic, thank you, ICR 1 Alpha. Okay, we have obtained our Oceanic clearance. We'll just check back in with Moncton Center and tell him that we have to climb to flight level 370 prior to reaching Janjo. And Moncton Center, hello again, ICR 1 Alpha, received our Oceanic clearance. We have to climb and maintain flight level 370 from Janjo.
ICR 1 Alpha, roger, you can climb now, level 370.
We'll climb now, flight level 370, ICR 1 Alpha, thank you. If we had to do it 100% by the book, we'd probably need to include the TMI number as well, which today is TMI 170, but since it is a fictitious track, I thought I'd left it out, because this track actually does only exist for the purpose of this event, so I thought it maybe would be okay to leave out, but in reality you would have to include it. We are actually passing Janjo now, and we haven't received a handoff to Gander radio. So I'll just call him up just to be sure that he has not forgotten us. He has probably got loads and loads of plane to take care of today. And Moncton Center ISR 1 Alpha, request frequency change to Oceanic.
ISR 1 Alpha, Roger, stand by 1.
And if you look at the time, we passed Janjo at 1602 Zulu. That is just 1 minute off from the calculation that we did with the E6B. So it is actually pretty accurate. The FMC said 1606 Zulu. So I'm pretty satisfied. I did of course say that we would be passing Janjo at 1604, but that was just to give us a little bit of margin, because we did have to slow down, and the ground speed did drop a little bit when I did another calculation, so I thought we'd maybe need a minute more, but that is still within the 3-minute margin, so we did not need to call in with a revised estimate, so that worked out well. And now we are finally handed over to Gander radio. So all we need to report to him is our flight level and MAC number, but he'll probably ask that anyway. And we do not need to do position reports because we are covered by ADSB. Gander radio, ISR 1 Alpha, sorry for the late call, some problems with the handoffs.
ISR 1 Alpha, can I have your flight level and your MAC number?
Flight level 370, Mach decimal 80, ISR 1 Alpha.
ISR 1 Alpha, thank you. ADSB identified. Your position report required. Stay on this frequency.
No position reports required, and we'll keep watch on this frequency, ISR 1 Alpha. Well, that was it. Now we just have a couple of hours of cruising ahead of us, so I will just do a time lapse. Enjoy the rest of the flight. Gander radio, ISR 1 Alpha, requesting Mach decimal 83 if possible.
1 Alpha, maintenance Mach decimal 83 for you.
And Mach decimal 83, ISR 1 Alpha, thank you. Okay, we received a cell call. We are probably transferred to Reykjavik now. Gander, pass your message, ISA 1 Alpha. There was some kind of problem. I could not reach Gander radio, but I have been in touch with him via text, and it seems that we are on Unicom, and we are going to be on Unicom for the last bit of our journey. There's really no point in doing a big briefing and so forth, since we are pretty much all alone. I thought that we'd just do a time lapse and then the landing in real time. Then I will present to you the charts while we are on approach. So see you back on the ground. We are now 5 miles final for runway 01. As you saw, the approach was pretty straightforward. We just followed the star to the initial approach fix and then it intercepted the localizer. Pretty simple, just straight in. I haven't had a landing in this aircraft for months, so wish me luck.
Glide slow. Glide slow. Glide slow.
100.
Glide slow. Glide slow. Glide slow.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Come on, get down. Wow, that was a floater. After crossing runway 28, we will vacate first one to the left, and then we'll taxi to the international apron at own discretion, because we are still on Unicom. And we have made it safely to Keflavik. What a great event. I want to thank you a lot for flying with me today. I hope you have enjoyed the flight. If you have so, then please leave me a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Or leave me a comment and tell me if you have some wishes for a topic or anything else for the next video. I haven't got much more to say other than thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.